radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the program. I'm Scotty Roberts, your host. This is my show, the Intrepid Radio Program. And you can only find it now here on my YouTube channel, seeing as we are no longer part of the radio station. Russ, if you don't know this already, Russ, the owner of Odyssey Radio, needed to shut the station down. And so we are just doing our YouTube bit as a podcast, and also broadcasting it, simulcasting it over on Facebook, a couple of different places, on Twitter, X, which it's not hooked up there tonight, nor is it hooked up on Instagram. So tonight, this is the only place. And frankly, if you're over in Facebook, the best way to get into the chat room is going to be to go to the YouTube channel, which is on the link over at Facebook. If you try to talk to us, I'll be the only person that can see you over on the comments down over on the Facebook page. If you want to chat and interact with everybody here, see their posts, have them see yours, come on over to the YouTube page. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. You can come and join us over there. Tonight, have you wondered about this moral flexibility that is out there when it comes to politics? And I'll explain more what I mean. If you don't know what that means, we'll get into explaining what that is to a certain, to a pretty good degree. And I think you'll enjoy this show because I think it's going to deal with a lot of things that we deal with every day. What we consider to be lies from the other side, no matter what side you're on. And how can those people abide by those lies that we're hearing? And how much of those lies are actually lies? How much of our truth, quote unquote, is actually a lie? How much of what if we put it all into one big mix, why do we as people believe the lies we are told by the people we want to support? Is it just because we support them? And that's why we believe the lie? I'm going to go along with that lie because it supports what I believe. Or the excuses we make for the people we support. I'm going to go along and excuse that lie or that untruth or that, there was another word I was looking for, the entire framework of what they're doing. I will support that, even though I know it's a lie, because this is the guy that I support, or that's the guy I don't want to have in, so I will support this guy and support the lie. And so I want to examine this with all of us a little bit tonight, with all of us having a bit of our thinking caps on as we do this. And I actually, and I will say, I am not fully versed in presenting this topic tonight in great, what's the word I'm looking for? In a great, like, televised or radio presentation. I have not put this together that way. It's in response to some things that I see being said over on posts I've made in social media and so on. And I thought, I'm just going to try to tackle this from the seat of my pants and see what we can come up with and see what we can get as far as discussion from all of you on this. I want to, and we can open up for calls very early if you want to, because having your input in this might be kind of good and might be kind of fun for Friday night. Now, Friday night we usually reserve for doing some paranormal kind of thing, talking ghosty talk or doing something like that in general. And tonight I'm doing something that flows or in and around all our politics from both sides, and is something that maybe affects us on many different levels in many different ways in many different walks of our life. So, and I want to look at several different things. The first I want to do is, pardon me, I have got a weird tag on the back of my shirt that is like scruffing the back, the upper part of my back, instead of just the back of my neck. And so I'm squirming a little bit tonight on that. So sorry about that. And there's another thing before I get into that. It's another thing I want to bring up. If you know me, and I allow for all kinds of talk. Now, if I have a belief that I'm putting forward or something that I'm convinced of, you're going to hear me say, I don't believe that. Stand up for what you're saying. Give me your background. Let me know. Give me the background to your case. I want to know why you believe what you believe, and I want you to talk about it and be able to present your case. But at the same time, I am very strong and convinced. I have convictions about what I talk about and about what I believe and why I believe those things. I don't like to just spout off what my party tells me I should spout off. And frankly, being an independent, a libertarian bent with a small c conservatism about my libertarianism, yet still an independent, likening myself more to a Jeffersonian liberal than a Republican or a Democrat. People think I'm Republican because I support the Republican candidates and I support a conservative line. But there are some people that say they're one thing, but they're completely different. There are people in this chat room, not necessarily right at the moment, but people who are regular listeners of the show that claim they're one thing, but are completely different. Yet they decry the other side for being liars, yet they're lying by what they say they are and spouting a totally different line. So why has this become acceptable is one of my big questions. Moral? What moral? Says Morgan Snow. Exactly. She says, damn, would have loved to talk about the shadow being that showed up in my house. We can do that a little later, Morgan. We'll hit this the first hour. Stick around. We'll talk about that. Because we can, the captain's cabin, we go to many different places when we're there. So what prompted this was seeing all kinds of talk going on. I put up a social media post, and it had a picture of Donald Trump, a profile shot with his hair blowing in the wind a little bit, just a nice shot of him. And it said, not a perfect man, but a man perfect for the job. And as you can already imagine, nobody can just let that go that opposes that kind of thinking without coming in and decrying the person as a horrible human being. And my first question was, why is it that we find a need to demonize somebody in order to make our point stronger? Isn't this the same thing that we do when we're bullying? We make our position look stronger by diminishing you. And I thought, why is this so prevalent? Why are we seeing this? And there are people that will come in vehemently, I mean, from the get-go. And there are people I've seen on my posts before, but they're almost nasty. If I'm reading them right, they're almost nasty from the get-go. And I'm kind of like, you don't have to be nasty. But here, these aren't working. I have to look at this. I want to get into some of what was said so I can make lay a little bit of foundation of what was going on here. So I put that post up, and somebody came in and said, no, not again. We can agree to disagree, but no. Somebody disagreed with me about Trump. And I said, just kind of playing back, because I know who this person is, yes, again, and we can agree to disagree. And yes, it'll all be good for us. It'll be good for us all. And somebody said, you might like to read posts and watch videos by Derek Johnson. They gave me somebody to go listen to. Law and Order, that the U.S. is actually under a constitutional continuation of government, and PJDJT. Now, DJT has got to be Donald J. Trump. I didn't know what you meant by PJ. Remains a POTUS and CIC. All information about the laws and order. Okay, so on and so on. So she was giving, I said, that's great stuff. but I'll take a look at it. But that's not really what I'm talking about here. When I put up this post, I just pretty much said, Donald Trump is not a perfect man, but I think he's perfect for the job. And then somebody else came and said, he failed when he had his chance. No thanks. Now, that was the first comment. Now, let me ask you, do you believe Trump was a failed president? A failed presidency? What's that, Professor Bauer? What's he saying? Was wound up and raring to light it up. Oh, you were? Let's see, what happened to last night's show? I don't know. I talked to Rocky last night, by the way, folks. Rocky said, let's do this tomorrow night. He finally was able to get a hold of me by the end of the day and said he forgot that it was the 4th and they had all kinds of stuff going on. He's going to be up here in my area for the next couple of months. And so we're going to try that again in the very near future. So that's what happened to last night. Yeah, and Professor was wound up and ready to roll. So, and by the way, Morgan Snow, don't get put off because we're talking about this right now. As I said earlier, we'll talk about the shadow thing later on. But right now, let's hit this for the show tonight and stick around. Contribute if you'd like. So let's go on with this. And this is going to seem slightly disjointed only because I didn't organize any of this ahead of time. It's more a reaction in the last 20 minutes before I came on that I said, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. So, and there were 33 replies to that. The person who said, he, meaning Donald Trump, failed when he had his chance. No thanks. And somebody else came in and said, failed at what? I can already say that everything you'll list is from a prior administration or shot down or blocked by a Democratic run house and a Congress, and you may now proceed to humor us. So right away, you see a couple of people that are coming from two different perspectives, and each thinks the other is making shit up. And I asked, at what precisely did Donald Trump fail? Not being argumentative, but I'm truly curious about what you think. I wanted her to express it rather than go, oh, you're just going to argue with me, which I hate this. I hate this about politics. But somebody else came and said, the only thing I believe he failed at was completely underestimating exactly the lengths the deep state and social media conglomerates and Democratic Party will go to win an election. They rigged their own elections, i.e. Donna Brazil, Hillary Clinton. Why wouldn't they do all they could to rig a general election? And of course, you get your whole plethora of people agreeing, smiley faces, laughy faces, because they can't really counter it. They just put up a laughy face to show how stupid they think you are. So then somebody who frequents this chat room, the show, and this only covers 100 days worth of inept leadership. And he posts an article, which I hate it when people can't talk about something, even in generalities or in brevity. They got to post an article. I got to post an article for you to go read. I don't have time to read an article. If you're going to converse with me, and I'll see what you have to say. And this was a day-by-day digest of President Trump's 100 days of failure from the American Civil Liberties Union. And so my response to that naturally was, okay, the ACLU, got it. And this is the same person who will talk to me about, you get all your sources from Fox News, don't you? He's only asked me that 100 times. And I've countered him and said, well, no, of course I don't. And it's gotten to the point where it's like, keep asking me that, and I'm just going to ban you from talking because you're not listening. You're only here to say something stupid as opposed to contribute to something in a positive way. So let's see. No, I didn't like some of the things he did, but he is still what our country needs. I agree. I agree with you, Morgan Snow. Now, are we ignoring the lies? Are we accepting the lies? Are we operating in a system of believing our candidate, if you're a supporter of Trump or Biden, do we believe that candidate based on what they are telling us? Or do we do an independent study? I dare say there are very few people that support Trump that would end up ever voting for Biden. And then there are a lot of people who say, I'll never vote for Trump because he is such an immoral man. He's a pig. He's a this and that and all the other things. And so therefore, I can never vote for that person. I'll vote for a cabbage before I vote for that person. Roger, you'd be right. So this is why this question came up tonight. It's like, and the question of moral flexibility. Are we operating in a world of moral flexibility where we say we have certain morals about things and we believe things, but we are willing to overlook things that the other person will call a lie because that's the person we support? Is that moral flexibility? Or is it us saying, there's a reason I don't believe what you're saying about this person? And everybody wants to see the facts nowadays. And everybody wants you to, in a social media post even, well, why don't you just tell me what his accomplishments are? What did he accomplish? I said, I took a few hours a few months ago and I compiled an almost exhaustive list of Trump's accomplishments, from the little things to the big things. And I posted it. And of course, like a dummy, I didn't save that as a post. It's back in there. I'd have to go find out where it was to find it. And I said, look, I'm not going to state that again. And then, what you run the risk of doing when you do that is saying, look, I don't need to post that again. Trump has accomplishments. If you're curious about his accomplishments, just go look them up. Go look up a list of his accomplishments. Well, they don't want to do that. You do that. You're the one who claims he had accomplishments. You do that. And same for the other side. I could say, what did Biden ever accomplish? And these are the arguments that go round and round and round and round. When you work with a broken system, says Sarah, you have to work with certain aspects of that system to be productive. Let me process that for a second. When you work with a broken system, you have to work with certain aspects of that system in order to be productive, you're saying. Yeah, I agree with that. You have to work within that. There are things I know that Trump isn't a perfect man. There are people I'm sure that know that Biden is not qualified for office, but they're willing to overlook those things in order to sustain what they believe needs to happen. I can't say that there's probably anybody that thinks I'm going to vote for Joe Biden because I think he is the best man for the job. Maybe that's only a partial truth. Maybe they think he's the best man to prevent the guy they don't like from getting into office, which is why Biden got in the first place. He didn't get in on his sterling reputation. He didn't get in because he had been caught in several lies throughout his career. All kinds of things with Biden. That's not why he got in. People overlooked those things because they thought he was best for what needed to be accomplished. I overlooked certain things about Trump because I believe he is the best man to get our country back on track. So we all tend to look to the things that we believe, or even the things that we know or have an idea that maybe this isn't quite right, but I'm willing to go with that because it's like I heard one pundit put it, Trump isn't a liar, he is a salesman. He uses hyperbole. And I went along with this, and I thought that was a pretty good explanation. Because he's like, it's a very beautiful, very, very, the most beautiful I've ever seen anywhere in the world of beautiful things. What's he doing? He's selling you real estate. So does he use hyperbole? Yeah, he does. I don't think Joe Biden, is he a liar? Yeah, he's been a liar in the past. But they all, okay, here's the point I'm trying to make, is that we all go along with whoever's lie fits our political narrative. The deflection to Trump is an example of the Gelman theory. Right, says Professor Bauer. And he said a little earlier, the media cabal is exposed. Plenty of other news sources have been calling what everyone saw and said since 2020. Yeah, and the person who keeps coming out to me and telling me, oh, obviously you only get your news from Fox. What a dope. And, with that person, you all know me. I'm long suffering. I'm patient. I'll argue a point. That doesn't mean I don't leave the door open for you. Come on, keep talking. Let's talk about it. But when somebody wants to blatantly accuse me of something in their argument that they've been corrected on several times already, I'm going to ask them, first of all, are you drunk again? Or are you just ignoring what I said the last 10 times you said the same thing? Because that is the pocket answer. That is and we all have these on both sides. We all have these answers that are quick little tidbits that we pull out. Oh, that's because, and they're not true. So let me go on. I've got a little study, just a little. It was where is it? Let's see. Here we go. Okay, this is a little article about a study that was conducted. And this is all about facts that we ignore. The truth is flexible when the falsehoods support political beliefs. Now, let me ask you, are you willing to look at something that is not factual and might smack of not being true, but you're willing to support that if it supports your political beliefs? Now, I have found that, and pardon me, anybody, I'm not trying to cast smack down anybody of a different party than I am or a different political belief than I am, but I have seen that more on the left than I have on the right. People willing to be flexible about the truth if it supports their political belief. Their political belief might be that guy doesn't ever need to be in office again. And they will rally any bit of information they can, and without really understanding whether or not it's true. Well, the Alphabet Soup Company, whatever organization said it was so, therefore it must be. Not necessarily. You have to start digging into that organization. Like I look at the ACLU, and they said Trump's first 100 days of lies. And I look at that and I go, well, wait a minute. That's the ACLU. Dig into the ACLU a little bit and find out what they're about. Just like somebody said, well, dig into, what is it, the Heritage, what's the school? Heritage School that promotes certain political philosophies. Well, you got to dig in and find out what they're really all about, says the left. That's what everybody's about nowadays. Roger said, if we could harness human energy, the amount spent on pissing matches about politics could power the world. Isn't that true? Especially during an election year. Ain't that the truth? Professor Bauer says, The Art of the Deal, Trump's book from 25 years ago, explains Trump's personality in his own words. Celebrities and politicians have adored and chased his money for decades. Trump was a media, everybody loved him. There's a word for that, the media darling I was looking for. Everybody loved Trump until he came down that golden escalator at Trump Tower and announced he's running for president as a Republican. Minds blew up. People hated him instantly. And it seems like a lot of people did, or the majority did. But why is that? Because the media is primarily not conservative. And so when you have a media that is not conservative against maybe a few outlets that are conservative, you're going to see that battle coming up. And then that promotes and fosters the division between people. But now we're seeing more and more that the ones that were anti-Trump are not necessarily pro-Trump now, but they're a lot more open about, hey, the guy sitting in office right now, There are some problems. And they're even tacitly admitting many times that Trump was right. One of the worst things is eccentrics with power. Maybe so. Maybe so. That's what Sarah said. Maybe so. But maybe you can also have an eccentric that has an eccentric personality, but has something viable and real that he believes. Can you be an eccentric? Can you be a playboy billionaire, for instance, and have something good to say? Can you be somebody who has had to, his whole life, rely on the bullshitting line in order to make the deal, the art of the deal? Then can you trust them in politics? Maybe, maybe not. Can a person like that ever be genuine about what he believes about his country? One thing I will say about Trump is that I saw interviews of him on Oprah and Larry King from the 80s. And even though he has aged almost 40 years since then, he could have said the same thing yesterday. He has been consistent all the way along. So, that's something. One of the worst. Yeah, I'm sorry, Sarah. I thought that was a new comment. I was coming up with that again. But here is what I was looking at about this study. Let's see. That's not it. I got to find the right window where I put this. Here it is. So it's facts ignored. The truth is flexible when falsehoods support political beliefs. So why do people support politicians who make blatantly false statements? Or let me amend that a little bit. Not even blatantly false statements, but what at least one side will believe is blatantly false statements. Why on earth would anybody want to believe them? Now, a forthcoming study dug into this phenomenon and found that people knowingly support falsehoods when it aligns with their personal politics. Their personal politics. That was redundant. Political, personal politics. And a lot of people support for politicians who say things that aren't necessarily true isn't because they believe those statements per se, but they view that misinformation as supporting political goals that they believe in. And that's what Ethan Poskanzer, who is an assistant professor of strategy and entrepreneurship in the Leeds School of Business and co-author of the study, which will be published in the American Journal of Scientology this month, as a matter of fact. And the research led by Min Jae Kim of Rice University's Jones Graduate School of Business and co-authored by Oliver Hall of the Carnegie Mellon University's Tepper School of Business and Ezra Z. Zuckerman Sivan of Massachusetts Institute of Technology Sloan School of Management. After all those people, I could have just left them out and talked about the study. They sought to discern why people support politicians who disseminate information that is not factual or not truthful. So based on the results of 6 surveys of U.S. voters during and after the Trump administration, they're focusing on, and this research of theirs, they found a disconnect between what people believe to be factual and what they believe to be true. So get that down. There's a disconnect with what you believe to be factual and what you believe to be true. Each survey gauged voters' reactions to false statements by politicians in general, including Trump, Ron DeSantis, Joe Biden, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They looked at those 4 politicians. And for example, one study asked respondents about then President Donald Trump in a 2018 tweet when he said, "Sadly, it looks like Mexico's police and military are unable to stop the caravan heading to the southern border of the United States." End of quote. Now, that was not grounded in facts, but people said it was true in the sense that they believed U.S. immigration policy should be stricter. And so they supported the disinformation because it fits the deeper truth they believed in. What did Trump say? He says it looks like Mexican police and military are unable to stop the flow, the caravan that's heading to the southern border of the United States. Now, was that factually misleading? Was it true? Were the Mexican police and the military unable to stop the flow? They probably could have stopped it if they wanted to. But Trump says it looks like they're not able to stop it because it's not stopping. And they're saying the people believed then that that was the case. The Mexican police and military, they aren't doing their job in stopping this flow because Trump said so. So they're attributing truth to that. And they believe that, even though there wasn't necessarily proof that that was so. So moral flexibility, what about that? A big upshot of the study is that fact checkers aren't always useful in fighting misinformation disseminated by politicians because people know that it's not true, but they want it to be out there and it fits their agenda. That's both sides of the political world, folks. People want things to be true, and so they believe what they're told. And by the way, I see our numbers have gone down since we started the show. Do people just not like talking about this stuff? This is important stuff in our world. But I don't want to hear about that. I gotta go watch the game. I gotta go find a ghost show. I want to talk about psychics. This stuff isn't important to people. That gnaws at me a little bit. When I have my listeners that are loyal to the show, and I go listen somewhere else, I don't want to hear that topic tonight. Well, then go over there and stay over there. So that's my take on it. I start to get, I'm not offended by that, but I am kind of like, you know what? If you don't support the show, don't support the show. If somebody's talking about something more interesting over there, go over there and stay over there, for God's sake. Anyway, moving on. That's just my 2 cents on that. And you can hate me or love me for that. So, or you can think I was stupid for saying it. So now, fact checkers aren't always useful, and we all know that already. What's a fact checker mean? Say on social media nowadays, fact checker is synonymous with somebody who censures your post because you aren't following their narrative. That's what a fact checker is in social media. And it's being allowed. So Republican and Democratic voters used moral grounds to justify politicians' false statements. They also held politicians' statements to different moral standards. They zealously apply them to politicians whom they oppose, but suspend those when they perceive the politician to be engaged in demagogic fact flouting to proclaim a deeper truth about their political grievances. This is what researchers call moral flexibility. When partisan voters shift from their moral standards in evaluating politicians' statements from their preferred and opposing candidates. So we shift our standard of belief. Sarah says, what was that, Sarah? Tough conversations can be eased if both sides will allow for the dignity of the other party. Yes, absolutely. I was just listening to a CEO of Morgan, Chase Morgan. What's the name of the bank? So I get it correct. And I can't think of his name. I watched it and I turned it off and shut the window a long time ago. But he was saying some very interesting things along what you're talking about right now, Sarah. And that is, let me find something I wrote, and I threw some of his points in here. Let's see. I'm going to find this because I think this is very interesting. Where did it go? Hang on with me. Hang on with me. I got to find it because it's important. Let's see. Scan and more. That's somebody else's post. And of course, because I'm looking for it, I need it like right now in front of me, and I didn't put it in front of me before. I'm going to have a problem locating it off the top here. So I'm still looking. I'm still looking. Still looking. Still looking. Oh, somebody had said in this thread of posts that I was on that Trump was trying to scare people about there being 9-month and post-birth abortions. And they said, those do not exist. I said, oh, I got to differ with you. Those do exist. Both have existed. There's been a lot of controversy about them. And, well, maybe it wasn't in this thread because I'm not finding it. Unless somebody just didn't want it in there. I don't see it, folks. But what he said, he was basically chiding most Americans who are against Trump. He didn't come out and say I'm a Trump supporter. He says I wasn't before, and he's never been known to be one. But he said something to the effect that he says you've got to respect the people who support him because of their views. And he says Trump. He says you may not like him personally, but he said he sort of did a good thing about NATO. He said the economy was good under him. He said we were oil independent, energy independent under Trump. He said inflation, when he left office, was only at 1.4%, while Biden continued to, and now he's gotten quiet on it now, but 2 or 3 times in the main media, he said it was at 9% when he took office. No, it didn't go to 9% for 2 years after Biden took office. So there's all these things that Trump accomplished and that Trump was good at. Our standing in the world, people were saying we're a laughing stock because of Donald Trump. Well, that was a lie. But it's a lie that was perpetuated to make a point from the other side, the side that opposed him. Now, the right is now saying Biden is making the United States a laughing stock. Well, we happen to know that's true because other countries have come out and said so. They mock us and the leader of this country. It's like we need an adult to force the kids to play nice, said Sarah. Yeah, well, we do. We all need to think like adults. We all need to think in that vein that stops pointing the finger at the other side and saying, well, how can you support that guy because he's this and that? And we've got to make common sense work. Playing nice requires both parties involved. Yeah, that's right, Professor. And Sarah says the nexus, obviously. I'm not sure what that means. His show, obviously. I'm not sure what connection you're making there, Sarah. Anyway, moving on. And let's go back to this. There is when you show a statement from Donald Trump, the researchers said, that's not truthful, Republicans will say it's okay if it's not true because it sends the right message. Whereas Democrats will say that a statement needs to be factual. With a statement from Joe Biden, Democrats will say it's okay if it's not based on evidence, that it supports a generally true message, while Republicans will then have a higher bar and say every statement needs to be based on facts. This is what their study's telling them. Sounds like a big circle, doesn't it? The big lie. And most of the studies they did, Trump supporters surveyed, applied significant factual flexibility when it came to his statements. Now, I'm going to do some of that here right now, but not because I'm being flexible with the facts. I'll get into that in a second. But the researchers' Big Lie study, which surveyed only people who voted for Trump in 2016, was an outlier. In this survey taken in 2021, researchers analyzed voters' reactions to Trump's assertion that the 2020 American presidential election was rigged or stolen. Those surveyed were significantly more likely to say that Trump's statement was based more on objective evidence than subjective impressions. And I would agree with that. Now, relative to other issues, Trump's claims about the election being stolen were communicated as being factual. While we see less moral flexibility with this issue, potentially due to these more fact-based claims, we still see that the importance individuals place on factual accuracy regarding the big lie depends on their party and partisan affiliations. Let's see. What's the difference with moral flexibility and being influenced by other perspectives? I think moral flexibility is when you're allowing, it's not being influenced by perspectives. I don't think that implies or even induces moral flexibility. I think moral flexibility comes along when it doesn't matter what the other influences say. It's when you are willing to take something that you know isn't quite true and you're going to go with it and you're okay with it and you dismiss it. Your morals become flexible because you've dismissed what you know to be untrue or you know to be wrong in order to push the lie and support your candidate or your person. Like, here's a great, for instance, from the other side. How long have we been told that Joe Biden is the sharpest sword in the closet? That he is smarter than anybody else? The press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre. He's smarter than me. He's the smartest person there. So you're dumber than he is? That doesn't leave a very high bar. Now, I could call Joe Biden dumb like I just did, or I could say he's suffering from cognitive functioning, which I've always pretty much said. I don't think Biden is the person who is leading the country. So let's see. Ryan Gale, how you doing, Ryan? Trump butters the bottom side of his bread. Oh, that's a lie. That's a lie. Yes, he butters the bottom side of his bread, but it's when he puts it on the top side, jellied side of the other piece of bread. See, I have a way to take your lie and make it work for me. And I think that's what people do. Don't ruin butter for me, Ryan Gale. Why, Sarah? Are you that anti-Trump that you can't handle eating bread that's buttered if you know he buttered his? I know we're all being a little lighthearted here, but is that seriously it? I butter both sides. Yeah, why not? Why not butter both sides? I'll put peanut butter on bread, but I'll put down a layer of butter first because I like it that way. And I don't eat butter on everything. I cook with butter. Do a lot of cooking with butter. I like butter. Wasn't it Julia Childs who said, "Everything you make is better with more butter"? It's true. Just put more butter in. I got to take a drink. No, I'm too pro butter, says Sarah Yusuf. Did you know I actually saw a picture of Hitler drinking water? And it looked exactly like a picture of Trump drinking water. There must be a connection. I saw, damn it, I slipped on his name the other day. You know, the Canadian guy, he's the psychologist and he's big in talking all of this, Jordan Peterson. And he was talking about, oh, look at your shoes. Your shoes, Hitler had shoes just like that. So you must be like a dictator. And he was making his point on this. Butter and peanut butter? I don't know about that. What I'll do, Sarah, I'll take 2 pieces of bread and I'll put a thin layer of butter on each one. And then I'll put chunky peanut butter, which is the best, along with some strawberry preserves on the other one. Slap them together. There you go. So I can't believe it's not butter. But where's the beef? There you go, Professor. So in looking at where this study is going, so Trump made claims about the election being stolen. Now you do know, and Travis Thorpe made a very good point out of this the other night. And I couldn't tell you the details of the point he was making, but he said, all the things they've been contesting about that claim, it turns out it's right. Trump's claim was right. But you'll never find that admitted to. Now, I was talking about Joe Biden as well. What about the lie we've been told by the White House, by all the people supporting Biden in the White House, his support team, and therefore the media reporting it, that Joe Biden was in perfect mental health, the sharpest stick in the closet. He was smarter than anybody else, and he was running the country. And everybody believed that until, why was the debate almost 2 weeks ago tonight? Why was that important? Because it was one of the first times that people saw it in play and went, we have been lied to. So what do you do with that? What do you do when you find out you've been lied to and you're pushing that lie? Guess what? The White House is still pushing that lie. Why is there lies that get pushed that we want to believe about our candidates when we know they're false? I have frankly seen more of that coming from the left than I have seen coming from the right. Now, is that because I support the right, so I'm willing to dismiss the lies? No, I'm willing to look at it and say, how many thousands of lies did they say Trump told in his first year? What a bunch of bullshit. Because, Trump could come out and say, looks like it might rain today. Then it turned out that it didn't rain, and they say he lied about the weather. I mean, it was ridiculous. So, and you know why I put up a fight on some of that stuff? Because I'm tired of hearing what a big liar he is when I know the things that they talk about are so politically slanted that there can't be any truth to it. So, wishcraft is wishcraft, trying to manifest an outcome. So, yeah, I had to. By the way, Professor Bauer says Travis, JP, and I went on for 2.5 hours, 2+ hours after Scotty checked out. I checked back in at one point and I said, "Hey, go home. It's over." So it wasn't broadcast, and sadly it wasn't recorded either because the broadcast had ended. It was just the tool was still working. So oh, that's his title. Oh, Sarah, you go Robert Professor Bauer / the Nexus. Not surprised. I thought, why are you adding all of that? Oh, that's his whole name is up there as that. Got it. Why don't you put your link in there too, Professor? There's room. Let's see. Going to try to try butter on a Pop-Tart. Sounds interesting. Might be. I don't like I liked Pop-Tarts once. They're too candy pastry to me. Doesn't do it for me. So going back to this fighting misinformation, there's an important conclusion of this study, and it's that moral flexibility might be a reason political misinformation can be effective. People are okay with politicians not telling the truth because they see it as morally justified, which is more concerning than if someone had tricked them into believing a statement. So when it comes to facts versus truth, a surprising finding was that people were perfectly comfortable articulating that they knew this statement wasn't based in fact, but they thought it should still be publicized because it was important as a political issue. So holding leaders to standards that align with democratic norms is key to fighting political misinformation. So we can find it on both sides. I find the party that seems a little more desperate is the one that's going to incorporate this more. I also, probably because of my political leanings, find that I look at the Biden camp and I say the entire thing is disingenuous. And I disagree with their policy. Their policy of wanting to change us into a green nation, their policy of wanting to create what is more or less a social society. I disagree with those fundamentals. And so I find that in order to fight against their own sitting presidents, they can't come out and say, our sitting president is diminished and he needs to step down so we can put somebody better in place. And I got to tell you, it isn't just me and the Democrats. If the Democrats offered a great candidate, you might find me going, that's a good candidate. This term, I've got only one person I'd be voting for this time, right now, because I believe that that's the person that's going to fix the problem, or at least get a rolling start at it. But the Democrats have got to have someone better than who they're running right now. And you see Biden and Jill Biden. I think Jill Biden I look at her and I deem her to be, not because somebody's told me so, but I deem her to be egotistical, narcissistic, and loving the power and the prestige of being the first lady, as opposed to what's better for her husband. I did see somebody say just this afternoon, they said she would drag Joe Biden naked through broken glass if she could pull him across the finish line and maintain the positions they're in. And I tend to believe that's the kind of person she is. I've looked at her for a long time and thought that about her. Why do the Democrats put up with it? Why are they not running somebody different? You know why I think they are not running somebody different? Because in order to do that and to remove Joe Biden, they would have to admit that they knew this all along and it was all a lie and all a cover-up. But how can you cover up what millions of people see so clearly? It's like the meme said, you do realize we can see him, right? You know? So holding leaders to standards is something that we need to do. And we as voters should think to ourselves, is objective evidence important? Are facts important to me? And then hold our leaders to those standards. Ultimately, an important reason why misinformation gets out is because voters condone it. So what do we do about that? How do secrets and lies? Let's shift this gear a little and take it out of politics precisely into something a little different. Yeah, Professor Bauer, the climate scam of 97% is the climate scam of 97% is the same as the 51 intelligence fools who said the laptop was a Russian ploy. Why believe the experts with a failed track record and the guys that we know overtly lied to us? Once you've lied to us on that scale, is there coming back? Is there a redeeming quality to that? And by the way, the whole climate scam issue, I saw some very good, it wasn't Randall Carlson, although I'm sure he has been in on this as well, but there was one other climatologist, somebody or something, old dude. He says, climate change, he says, and greenhouse gases and all that, he says, the climate's in danger, he says, only depends on from where you start your measuring point. If your measuring point started 50 years ago, he was talking about the heating of the planet. He said the heating of the planet, if you started measuring it, what was it, 100 years ago, yeah, the planet's gotten a degree or two warmer. He says if you go back 2,000 years and measure it, He says the planet has cooled by 7 degrees. So what's going on really? It all depends on how the information is presented and whether it's presented as the truth when it's really not the truth. So, how do secrets and lies destroy us? Segueing off of that into something maybe a little more relational and conversational are the costs of deception. Something that people who are together, partners, rarely consider. Lies grow bigger the longer the truth is hidden. Look at the Biden mental capacity lie that's been going on for 4 years. Look how big that has gotten now. It's gotten down to where even the Democrats are talking about the 25th Amendment. Remove him from office because he's not going to step down on his own. It's gotten that big. But it could have been prevented if they hadn't run him in the first place and run somebody better. You might have had somebody in that office that's better, was better, and would be better for another 4 years. But they had to perpetuate the lie because they believed Joe Biden was the only person that could beat Trump. And frankly, I don't believe he did beat Trump. There you go. But lies grow bigger the longer the truth is hidden, leading to greater consequences once they're revealed. It's been revealed now. All of America, they said that last debate was the most widely watched debate ever in history. And that it got more viewers than the Super Bowl. Why? Because people wanted to see what was going to happen. People are interested. And what did they see? They saw the president was exactly what we've been saying he was. He is lacking in mental cognition and should not be running this country. So ordinary guilt that could be reversed with honesty becomes a shame when it involves a lie. And beyond mental distress, research reveals that lying leads to health complaints. Trust is a very fragile thing. Secrets and lies jeopardize trust and they can damage us for our relationships, sometimes irreparably. Trust lost is a very hard thing to regain, we've all heard before. We all tell white lies. We say, oh, I'm fine. When we're not, we compliment unwanted gifts. Oh, this is so beautiful. I always wanted one of these. This is fantastic. Oh, when I really wanted a Longines, but this will do. We tell lies like that. We even fib that the check is in the mail. Check's in the mail. But in an intimate relationship, emotional honesty allowing our partners, let's take it there, to know who we are. Honesty, and extrapolate this into our politic. Honesty is more than simply not lying. Deception includes making ambiguous or vague statements, telling half-truths, manipulating information through emphasis, exaggeration, or minimization, and withholding feelings or information that is important to someone who has a right to know because it affects the relationship and deprives that person of freedom of choice and informed action. And although we may consider ourselves to be honest, few of us reveal all of our negative thoughts and feelings about the people we're close to. That requires courage to be vulnerable and authentic, to use a couple of psychobabbly words. Because remember, I've shifted the gears a little bit from politics into relationship. How's this work? Mark Twain once wrote, and I don't remember the quote, and I couldn't find it, but I know it's a quote of his. He said something about there's not an honest man out there that can write his own autobiography and be truthful, because he will always omit something that he doesn't want anybody to know. That skeleton in the closet that he doesn't want anybody to know about. So there is that. Being honest develops trust, says Sarah in the chat room, which provides us a type of connection and intimacy. Very true. There is that. I almost feel there are times, because I've studied and researched and looked at Trump, both the positive and the negative things that have come out against him. And having done that has brought me a little more intimate knowledge about him, where I can say to somebody says, well, he did this, and I go, well, no, he really didn't. He didn't do that. That's not what he meant by that. How can I say that that's not what he meant? Because I think I understand the way he thinks, because I've looked at him for too long. Biden, if Biden were to say so, I couldn't honestly say that's just the way he thinks, because I think his thinking is scattered right now. And I don't say that to be nasty, mean, critical, or cruel. I say that because he's operating with a diminished cognition. It's just what happens. So there's a cost of secrets and lies. Most people who lie worry about the risks of being honest, but they give little thought to the risks of dishonesty. You know, when a kid lies about something, he's not giving a whole lot of thought about being honest. There's no risk in that. He's just thought of what's going to happen if he's found out. And there's no risk to dishonesty for him at that point. So what are some of the ways that lead, which lies and secrets cause harm? Number one, they block real intimacy, kind of what Sarah was just talking about. They block real intimacy with a partner. Intimacy is based on trust and authenticity and the ability to be vulnerable or naked, quote unquote, not only physically, but also emotionally. So they block that. Number two, they lead to cover up lies and omissions that can be hard to remember. When you lie, another lie leads to another lie, leads to another lie, leads to another lie. They mount up. And if the truth comes out, it might be more hurtful than the original secret. And so the longer the truth is hidden, the greater becomes the hurdle of revelation. For it's going to bring into question every instance of cover-up and all times the innocent partner relied upon and trusted the betrayer. Oof, that's a big one, huh? JP says, being vulnerable and completely open has got me nothing but pain. Nothing but pain. Because, JP, sometimes don't you think there are times where we have to curb our honesty? And what do I mean by that? You hold things close to the vest. There's not the lying. It's not the lying. It's the if I tell this thing and I'm honest about it, I might hurt somebody. So you keep that in. Jason, do I look fat in these jeans? No, but your belly makes you look fat. Well, what was the old joke? Does my butt look fat in these jeans? No. Do these jeans make my butt look fat? No, but your butt does. Hey, Sean Stroik. Welcome to the chat room. So being vulnerable, I think vulnerability is a good thing. Completely open. Got to examine that one a little bit. Completely open is not the same as being honest. I think those are two different things. People are predatory, says Sarah. They're going to analyze for any form of weakness. Damn straight, that's what they do. Oh, you can't marry him. I've heard all about him. Look at this whole list of things. Everybody knows this about him. Yada. That's another point, but that's what I'm talking about. Number 3, the secret holder feels guilty or at least uncomfortable during intimate moments with the deceived person. Oh, shit. I have been dishonest with this person. I can't believe. Guilt, go away, guilt. Don't bother me. Closeness in certain topics tend to be avoided. Avoidance may not even be conscious. And it can include things like being preoccupied with work, friends, hobbies, addictive behavior, doing activities that leave little opportunity for private conversations. The deceiver might even provoke an argument to create distance. And I say, well, why do you want to be with a person if you're going to treat them that way? 4, honesty is valued as a moral norm, although context and specifics may differ among cultures. So when we violate religious or cultural norms by hiding the truth, we experience anxiety generated by guilt. And despite our best efforts at hiding, our physiological reaction is the basis for electronic lie detectors. Boom, boom, boom. So, number 5, the violation of our values not only leads to guilt, it also affects our self-concept. Over a long period, deception can eat away at our self-esteem. Ordinary guilt that could be reversed with honesty now becomes shame. Great, now I have shame. And undermines our fundamental sense of dignity and worthiness as a person. And the gap between the self we show others and how we feel inside starts to widen. Wait, what was it? And not shame wasn't the word. I was thinking of the movie Toy Story, the original one, with Rex the dinosaur. They said something, I don't remember what led up to it, but he says, great, now I have guilt. So, guilt and shame. 6, our ways of managing guilt and shame create more problems for us. We don't only hide the secret, but more of who we are. We might build resentments to justify our actions. We withdraw or become critical, irritable, or aggressive. We might avoid those friends because they know that secret. We don't want to do anything with Betty and Raj tonight, or ever again, because they know my secret. We rationalize our life or secret to avoid the inner conflict and the danger we imagine awaits us if we come clean. Some people become obsessed with their lie to the point that they have difficulty concentrating on anything else. Other people are able to compartmentalize their feelings or rationalize their actions to better manage dishonesty. But compartmentalization and denying, rationalizing what my partner doesn't know won't hurt him or her, right? Or minimizing, I only did it once. Those are psychological defenses that help us deal with inner conflict and an undesirable reality. So they can be so effective that the liar is convinced that lying supports the relationship. Oh, I lie because it makes our relationship happier. If she doesn't know I do all this bullshit over here, that's going to make her happier. Think I'm a good guy. He or she may not want to face the hurt or the choices the truth could precipitate. Number 7, not surprisingly, beyond mental distress, research reveals that lying leads to health complaints. If you're going to lie about things, you're going to build anxiety. Anxiety messes with your gut messes with your heart die of a heart attack. There's the inevitable end of lying. So number 8, the victim of deception may begin to react to the avoidant behavior by feeling confused, anxious, angry, suspicious, abandoned, needy. They might begin to doubt themselves, and their self-esteem may suffer. Theirs. And often victims of betrayal need counseling to recover from the loss of trust and raise their self-esteem. So what does this all reveal? What do you have to reveal in this? Opinions vary on how much truth others need to know. There's the point I was making with you a little earlier, JP. Opinions vary on how much truth others need to know. In some cultures, there's a tacit understanding that infidelity is almost expected, as long as the adulterer is discreet. I see you're going to see your paramour tonight. Or, is your mistress calling? So, more changes over time. Homosexuality, transsexuality, once taboos, are now more openly accepted and discussed than ever before. Similarly, having unmarried parents or being adopted were once kept secret or only revealed when the child was older. And such jarring revelations as all of these could be traumatic yet also explain confusing anomalies in a child's mind. Today, many families opt for open adoptions instead. So we have a right to information, don't we? Politically, personally. We have a right to information about our heritage, particularly for medical reasons. Secrets about such things as addictions, criminality, mental illness can lead to real risks, along with these chronic shame and family dysfunctions. Children already know something's wrong, but denial undermines their self-trust in reality testing. In a sexual relationship, we have a right to know our partner's intentions and fidelity for emotional as well as medical reasons. We also want to know, do you have herpes? Remember that was a big scare? Have HIV? Morgan Snow, to answer your question, which I just saw, Ellery did that while we were on the radio the other night. It says, I love hot moms. It's partially washed off, but the little miscreant used permanent marker. So it hasn't all come off yet. I have to keep scrubbing away at it. So faithful partners rationalize or deny this need and their vulnerability to their emotional detriment. By not asking questions or expressing their needs, they enable and collude in deception for the same reason the betrayer is dishonest or secretive, to not rock the boat and jeopardize the relationship. When there's been betrayal, even if the couple stays together, seeds of distrust linger and sometimes poison the relationship. On the other hand, we also have a right to privacy. Even in the most intimate relationship, disclosure of conversations with our therapist, close friends, our relatives should be discretionary. You know, they say you're not supposed to, if your wife goes to see a counselor, and you don't ask her what'd you talk about. You're not supposed to ask that question, even though you're dying to know. My kids came out with something the other day, just shock value thing. I don't even remember what it was. Rowan came out with some shock value thing. Oh yeah, well, mom said so, brother. And I no, she didn't. And I looked over at Rainey, and Rainey starts laughing. I go, I knew you didn't. You didn't say that, did you? You know, like whatever. Like I wet the bed or something. I don't even remember what the topic was. So how about when and how to reveal? What, when, why, and how we disclose are all these essential factors. The timing, the impact, our motives should be carefully considered. There's full disclosure, full honesty about everything about us, JP, might be necessary to build a broken marriage. But studies also show that people who have good self-esteem and a high opinion of their partner are more likely to forgive him or her. Oh, I'm not saying you committed any of those, JP. That's just talking about being total honesty. Then we drifted way out from that right away. However, what the compelling reasons to reveal an affair that's long over or a current one that we have no intention of ending, in the first case, it's to deepen mutual intimacy. That's why we tell about it. In the latter, it's to avoid or to provoke a divorce that we're afraid to initiate because we got the balls to do it. So disclosing our dissatisfaction in the relationship might be the necessary conversation that, if communicated earlier, would have prevented the affair and the hurt feelings about it. What are you talking about here, Sarah? That isn't true. Look at UFO disclosure. What isn't true? What part? What did I miss? Spell it out for me, woman. So for everyone involved, the pain of the secrecy compounds the pain over the initial event. And the longer the deception continues, the more damaging it is to self-esteem. I start getting really tired of this self-esteem stuff too, by the way. Ideally, before revealing the truth to the person we've lied to, it's helpful to have accepted our own mistakes. Otherwise, our shame and guilt can be obstacles to genuine empathy for the person we've harmed. Like if you're going to apologize for having an affair, do you have to be convinced that it was wrong first? Well, I'm apologizing to save my relationship, but I really enjoyed it, and I'd still do it if I could get away with it some more. Is that really coming clean? That isn't true. Look at the UFO disclosure. Usage of proper timing of disclosure. Yeah, I can see that. Proper timing. Do you think disclosure has been improperly timed now or needs a better timing? Sarah. So first, talk to someone non-judgmental. If you want to gain genuine empathy for the person we've harmed. If you've forgiven ourselves, we're in a better position to answer questions and to face the anger and the hurt feelings that we've caused. And each case of betrayal is unique, even though they may all look alike. The potential damage and the complications that surround lying, as well as disclosure, are things to consider when telling lies and keeping secrets. Contemplation in advance about the consequences of our actions to ourselves, our loved ones, and our relationships require a degree of self-awareness that can prevent unnecessary suffering. So, what about politics in this? How does a politician get over being caught in a lie? If it's a blatant lie and an overt lie, I think all he has to do is go, hey, sorry, I was in the wrong. I made that shit up. You know, I made it up because I think it needed to be said, and I've got my excuses for it, but there's no excuse. So forgive me. If we can move on, I'd still like to go ahead. Blah, blah, blah. Then you never really see that happen, ever. You have seen presidents say, I was wrong. One thing that impressed me about Ronald Reagan, I remember on the whole Iran-Contra affair thing. We're talking way back, guys. Some of you may not remember because yet. Some of you may remember it well. I remember him getting on and addressing the nation, not talking in an interview, not in a pre-canned appearance on some news channel. He gave a live speech to a broadcast to the nation, and he said, I was wrong. And he apologized. Was wrong about all of this. And I don't remember the outcome of all of that, other than to remember that he fessed up that he had been wrong about something. And he says, I will be honest and say, I thought I was right. He says, but I was wrong, and I have to fix it now. So what about the victims of betrayal? Think of this in political terms, too. What do you do if you find out your guy and the people around him have been lying to you, but you still want to support the guy? You believed in him, but that trust has been broken because you believed in him. I want to, not even often over the last few days, I've wanted to ask Biden supporters, why the hell would you vote for him? Be honest. You want to vote for him because you believe in him? Or do you want to vote for him because you don't like the other guy? What a piss poor reason to vote for somebody for the leader of the free world. Get your act together. Get your head out of your ass and vote for the right person that's going to fix the nation. If it ain't one guy and you don't believe in the other guy, who's it going to be? Vote your conscience somewhere else. Or put your vote where you know it's best used. How it affects the best change you need. So when the truth comes out, it's often enlightening. It can help the other person make sense of previously unexplained or confusing behavior. Aha! Now I get it. Now I know why Joe Biden hasn't done a single press conference that doesn't have prearranged questions. Because he can't. Now I get it. It's that kind of thing. You're right, Sean Stroik. An apology is empty if you don't change. So at the same time, it can be devastating and traumatic to discover that the one we loved and trust has betrayed us. It can shatter the image we have of our partner, as well as our confidence in ourselves and even reality itself. So unfortunately, victims of betrayal frequently blame themselves. If the relationship wasn't working, both partners have a responsibility to speak up and address the problem. And although it might be fruitful to examine our behavior in order to learn from it, we're never responsible for someone else's actions or omissions. There's a natural desire to seek explanations and to know more facts. Aggrieved partners begin to review details of prior events and conversations. They seek overlooked clues and evidence of lies. They may painfully conclude that they and their partner have been living in two very different realities, which they once believed were shared. And so if the relationship ends, both partners might suffer from shame and blame, compounding the grief. And you do get over that stuff, but not thoroughly. And I'm going to tell you something. I said this not too long ago. If you got kids in the middle of all of that kind of a thing, guess who never, ever fully recovers from divorce? Kids. It is a psychological fact. I first saw that by some Tom Hopkins. Is it Tom Hopkins? John Hopkins, Jesus. So, not Jesus Hopkins, John Hopkins, psychologist, said that. Kids will never, ever fully recover from divorce, even when they're 80 years old. Doesn't happen. So even if a relationship survives, there's loss when trust is broken. As with all losses, our first reaction is denial. If not of the facts, then of the severity of the impact. It might take time to accept the truth, but each of us will attribute a different meaning to the facts in order to heal and make peace with ourselves and our loved ones, and a disordered reality we once thought was safe and predictable. And don't we do that when it comes to our politicians and the people we support? Yes, Johns Hopkins. There it is. I don't know where I got Tom from. So, anyway, so back to the topic of the night. Moral flexibility. Is there such a thing, or do we allow that to happen? We allow moral flexibility to happen in our politics when we choose to turn a blind eye to something that we maybe know is a lie, but we accept it because we know this is the right person for the job, and yeah, maybe it's not so. I do it even now. I probably am doing it to a certain extent now because I look at Trump and I go, I don't think Trump is a liar at all. I think he is, he makes a lot of hyperbole, and he's certainly an exaggerator, but I don't see him as somebody who is out to, I'm going to tell you this when I really did this, and I'm really sneaky over here. I don't think that's what he does. Yet I look at the Biden camp, and this is my personal opinions on this last part here. I look at the Biden camp and I see a whole cadre of administrators in the Biden administration that have constantly lied to the American people about the president. Yep, you're right, Sarah. Eventually, we're going to have to reconcile the decisions that we've made. Ain't that the truth? I don't know if you can hear that. My little girl is singing upstairs. Hold on. Now she's falling. Now, oh well. I could hear it plain as day. I turned up my mic to see if we could hear it. We can't. So anyway, that's it. That's what I had to say. Let's open it up for conversation when we come back to the captain's cabin. We got about a half hour left tonight, folks, after we take about a 2-minute break. So let's take a break. go do a little party time, and get your popcorn. Come on in and let's talk about some of this stuff. So for the moment, there's no radio audience to release, but let's cut the radio portion of the show right here, and let's get into the after show. Stand by. We'll be right back. Oops. Hey.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid Radio Program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave.
Well, welcome back to the Captain's Cabin, folks. Glad to have you here. This is just a little after show. If you want to call in and talk about any of the stuff that we have spoken about tonight, share your opinion. Here it is. Come on over and talk. And otherwise, I'll do all the talking still. So, yeah, there's all kinds of interesting junk. And, oh, wait, and you totally lock up. I no concern of yours, but it might be. My ad block has you totally locked out the show. Interesting. YouTube. Censoring is a bitch. It sure is. So, if you want to, that was just something somebody wrote me about the show tonight. They couldn't get in via Facebook. Because the ad blocker is blocking my show. That's interesting, huh? So are any of you, that's getting pretty tight again, too. Anybody else feel today was like a Monday? Yeah, it's because of the holiday yesterday. Sarah, did you get a good holiday yesterday? Or do you have to work because you do medical stuff? Did you have to work all through the holiday? I felt like yesterday felt like Saturday all day to me. And I kept thinking in the back of my head without cognitively thinking about it. I kept thinking, oh, I should put up an ad for a little promo for Sunday morning tomorrow. And I'm like, no, tomorrow's Friday. It's not, or Thursday or whatever. Friday. Yeah, today's Friday. So, my daughter Bryn is flying up right now, by the way, from North Carolina, one of my twins. And she is picking up Rowan, my 12-year-old, and flying back with her to North Carolina. Rowan's going down there for a couple of weeks. I think it's 2 weeks, just to hang with them. And that's neat. They're doing that with all the kids, one by one. They're going to bring Flynn down. They're going to bring Ellery down too, and just spend a week or two with them. Have them hang out at the shop and do stuff with them and all of that. So that'll be fun, I think. There's JP. Let's bring him in. How you doing, JP?
Hey, how's it going?
Jason. It's going.
Scotty.
Yeah. So what's on your mind tonight? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, I guess. Probably stayed up a little too late last night.
Oh, that happens.
Yeah, well, with the festivities and everything going on.
Right. I stayed up late with my daughter Rowan. You know, both my kids. I'm sorry, with Ellery, because Ellery and Rowan both want to learn how to tattoo as well, because they see me doing it.
Yeah.
So my 9-year-old is down here doing tattoos, just simple line stuff.
Yeah.
But working with we've got 2 guns now, machines, and so she's working with one of them. She's doing a great job.
That's awesome.
So we sat up late here. She and I sat here from like 8:30 last night until about midnight.
Yeah.
Working on tattoos.
Well, and it also didn't help that the professor and Travis and I also stayed up
Yes.
stupidly late the night preceding.
And that's kind of fun every now and then.
It is.
My stamina for my all night stuff like that isn't what it used to be. I can tell you that.
Yeah. No, definitely isn't. It was definitely an interesting conversation. You definitely missed out.
I caught 1 or 2 clips of it. I think after I told you guys, go home.
Yeah.
I went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it got pretty
It was
interesting.
a fun conversation. I used to do a lot more of that, like back about 20 years ago when we were first starting to do radio.
Mm-hmm.
2000, 2001. We'd get guys and we'd sit and we'd do a radio show, and then we'd have a chat afterwards, like I've mentioned MIRC, Merc or ERC or some of those other, and sometimes some video chatting. Not as much back then, but we'd all sit up and just talk and talk and talk and talk. And it was the greatest time.
Yeah.
And
no, it was.
Hour, Sarah, were you there? No, you couldn't.
Who?
Oh, Sarah. I just asked Sarah. You weren't there. No, she couldn't have been because there was no way to join it after the show.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been a pretty low key day for me today. But it's it's an interesting topic that you had this evening, though.
It is interesting. It was a little disjointed because I didn't know exactly how to tackle it. I wanted to tackle it. I tackled it passionately as opposed to just open-mindedly. By the way, Matthew Sainsbury, that's very correct. I thought that was very interesting. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on the same day.
Yep.
50 years after the date they drafted the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1826. 1826 when they died.
They did indeed. They never, I don't think they ever truly reconciled face to face after they'd had their differences. And, but they had started, corresponding. And then,
did you know you could see Monroe's or John Adams' house, or was it Monroe's house, from Monticello? When you're up on the mountaintop there at Jefferson's home, you can see on the next mountain over the home of, was it Monroe or was it Adams?
I can't remember.
I think it was Monroe.
I should know because I spent most of my time in Virginia.
And I love Monticello. Rainey and I, the last time I was there was 2007. Rainey and I went.
Yeah, no, Monticello is gorgeous. It's very interesting too.
And it's just interesting to think that after all of that, Jefferson died broke.
Yeah.
Kind of broke. It wasn't in the poorhouse.
Right.
He still had Monticello and all that. But
Yeah.
and I talked about how his mini Monticello down in Lynchburg, Virginia, Poplar Forest. And
Monticello Light.
Monticello Light. It looks just like Monticello. Hello. Welcome to my. Let me introduce you to my little plane. It just crashed into my living room. And he built a mini version of Monticello down in Lynchburg, Virginia, which is by car about an hour and a half. So by horse or carriage, probably 3 days. But and it's a gorgeous estate, and lined by poplars, all along one side. But the interesting thing, when I lived in Virginia, I lived in Lynchburg.
Okay.
For a couple of years, but I never even knew that was there. And where was it located? About 3 blocks from where I used to live, because it was closed down. It was not a functioning site at all, and it was in not decay and ruin, but decay and ruin, such as it is. And it was just a closed down site, and it was right off of the neighborhoods, all these residential neighborhoods, and you come to the end, and there's this bunch of trees here, and there's property back there, and that's where it was. And the Historical Society finally bought it out and brought in archaeologists and brought in people to refurbish is not the right word when you're doing historical restoration.
Yeah.
The attic of that, the dome on the mini Monticello Poplar Forest, was filled with all kinds of old furniture from Jefferson's lifetime, just crammed in there. Somebody had moved in there at one point and was living in it, and they took all his old furniture and crammed it up in the attic.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was pretty neat. Well, what's all the noise up there? Huh?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm here.
She's here now.
She's there.
She's here. Sit still. Look into the camera. Here, stand up here. A little closer. There you go.
Oh.
She does her own makeup now.
Oh, I took it all off.
Oh, you took it all off?
Yeah.
Oh, you still look pretty. So,
Want to see what I did?
I thought that was very interesting. You know, a historic site like that.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is. Definitely is. I mean, they still continue to do excavations at I think at Monticello and at Washington's home, but Mount Vernon.
Say that again, because my daughter was whispering to me. I missed part of that. I'm sorry.
They still do excavations
Oh yes,
at both at Monticello and at Mount Vernon.
I've
They
got
still have stuff going on.
a couple of little rocks in my cabinet from Monticello and from one of the archaeologists there gave me a little chip off. It was almost perfectly square, like a dice, but a bit off of the house as they were doing excavating.
Yeah.
Watch.
It's my turn to show.
And so, okay, it's your turn to show.
Yeah.
I'm not done talking yet.
Okay. So I did that.
Push her tattoos
very
on.
That
nice.
was yesterday. This was earlier. And then this was yesterday. And then that was, I think, 2 or 3 days ago.
That was
That
yesterday.
flower there on the large flower in the corner looks really good.
Talking about this one?
Yeah,
Yeah, she did a good job, I thought.
that's fantastic, kid.
A little upside down rose there. It's upside down, unless you do this.
Right.
Yeah, she's doing a good job. They're both doing a good job.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, what? You did better? Okay. So, I'm glad that they're doing that, because who knows? If I take off with this and it does well, maybe they could be doing it in a few years too.
You could create your own tattooing empire.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Family business.
I was just saying today, I need to do one of the practice things I need to do that I haven't done is something with like a geometric circle with some geometric shapes in it, so that I get that practice on doing that smooth line. Because just wait, if I have an answer, don't keep hitting my arm. I'll get to you eventually.
Now she's just
Oh.
doing it. Do it.
Yeah, now she's just doing it. What?
He looks like Zach.
He does, kind of.
Like Zach?
My son-in-law.
Oh, yeah. So I've heard.
Yeah. So, yes. Hi. Oh boy, no, I'm not. I'm ignoring you now. I'm going to send you away. I will send you away without flourish or glory.
You can't do this. My house too.
What?
You can't do that. This is my house too.
It's her house too. Okay, I'll send you the bill next month. So, sacred geometry, says Sarah Yusuf. Yeah, something like that. I need to do something. Yeah, I'm very mean. I am so mean.
You're ignoring me.
I did ignore you. Gosh, what's wrong with me? So, yeah, I need to do something with a tattoo that's got the circly and all the the shapes, the geometric stuff.
Yeah. Work
Just
on the old golden ratio.
Yeah. I mean, I got the other stuff down, I think, pretty set. Portraiture and doing stuff like that and things that and I've got one in the works over there. I did hey Ellery, grab those two over there of mine.
Yeah.
Right there. And so I've got some of that stuff is down. I haven't delved into pushing color yet. And do the woman version of this one, wherever that is too. So like I just did this one yesterday. And this is not done. And I'm just practicing with shades. But this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
do you have anything when you're doing that? Are you doing that on a flat surface?
Yeah, this is flat surface.
So do you have
like on somebody's buttocks?
Right. But do you have anything that you can pin that material to so that you can work on
Not
doing
really.
the same?
It's thick and heavy. You could. I could pin it to just. I couldn't do it on a ball because it would bunch up.
Yeah.
But they say you can practice on oranges and grapefruit and things like that.
Go get the mannequin and just start pinning sheets of it to the arms.
There you go. Yeah, it's this heavy. It's kind of this heavy skin.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be fake skin, but it's not perfectly like fake skin. So,
Interesting.
Yeah. And I did a couple of other little ones, but I feel like I've got the tool down, but I have to get down the thing of doing the really straight lines. And it's like yesterday I was working on this musket. And this is where I've said the only thing that scares me about doing tattoos is making a mistake on somebody's skin. Because I look at this, like when I was doing this musket, I was doing the straight line on his musket here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to this side that's coming up on, I can't do this backwards. It's coming up over here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, because I did a little knock. And it's like, if that was somebody's skin, you cover that up. You can't erase it. Mm-hmm. So, like on this one, what I did was I added the strap coming from the end of the musket because the line was so crooked. I added the strap in and then put black in the background behind it, in between the rifle and the strap.
Right.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah. That'd be.
Okay, bye.
I would think that probably natural order of progression would be get it to where you've got it down on flat surface,
Yeah.
and then start working on something that's, multiple curves and things like that, just so that you
Sarah
can.
says, ouch. She says, all I can say is ouch. So,
Yeah.
I haven't tried it on myself yet. It's just the needle, even without ink, just to see what it does.
Right.
Ow. And I have never had a tattoo.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to, I said, I suppose I got to go get a tattoo now. It's like, I'm your tattoo artist. No, I don't have any tattoos, but I can do one for you.
Right. Yeah.
But, I was trying to do the math on that and think, well, because my daughter was asking, how much money can I charge for this? I said, well, if you were good, you could, these
Yeah.
little things like this. What do you pay for something like that? You pay like $200 to have a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Something like that.
100 to 200 bucks.
100 to 200 bucks. I said, let's say you did, and that took her 10 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
And I thought, if you're good at it and your lines are good and you're actually working somewhere, and then you put a little shade in or a little stippling, or something like that, just to give it a little depth and character. I said, let's say you're doing, let's say you become a tattoo artist. I said to Rowan, and let's say you on average charge $300 for a tattoo. I said, what if you got to a place where you were doing 2 of those a day? I said,
Right.
what about 3 of them a day? 3 hour-long tattoos a day. That's 3 hours of hardcore work a day, along with all the little piddly stuff around it. I
Yeah.
said, you're doing 3 a day at $300 a day on the average, 300 a piece. What if you did that? I don't know. Did 2 days a week you're working. Making $2,000 a week times 4 weeks. That's $8,000 a month. I said, what if you actually did that and were able to carry that out? I said, that's not a bad living.
Mm-mm.
And
No, it's not the only. I would say the only thing that you have to worry about with that sort of thing is that if you're working for a parlor, part of that's going to go to them
yes,
for some ramen and stamps.
some ramen and stamps.
Yeah, like
Get a good
prison.
tat for ramen and stamps. A good tat or just a tat?
Get a prison tat.
Yeah, that's probably a smoke and some ramen.
Right.
So
Or a barracks tat.
yes, a good prison tat, says Travis. He laughs. Well, Travis, if you're not doing anything, call in, brother. We're not going to go for 3 hours, but we're only going to go for about another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, because I got my daughter coming in from out of town in about an hour.
Oh, okay.
So,
Cool.
she's going to fly Rowan back with her. So, North Carolina.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, that's what they're doing.
Well, that'll be fun. Yeah,
He'll pass this time. Well, thanks. That almost sounded like a brush off. No, thanks. I'll pass. He's out. He doesn't want to get trapped here.
Because you know exactly what will happen
Yes.
if Travis calls in, then a certain
Professor
somebody
Powell will
else is going to have to call in and
Well,
talk about
I
the
thought I had to call
Ethereum
in
and the
because-
Materium and the Great Reveal. And that's what it is. That's all part of the Great Reveal. So
in the Mysterium. So no, because I'll be up. No, because I'll end up keeping you all on for 2 hours again. But Travis is a good talker. I will tell you
yeah,
that. I get on conversations on the phone with Travis, never a dull moment, but then I look up and it's 3 hours later.
right.
So
Yup. That's how it be.
I don't know if there's causation and correlation here, but the last conversation I had with Travis for a lengthy amount of time, not the last one, that was last Sunday, but last year, I had a conversation with Travis for about an hour. Rainey walks up and I got him on my speakerphone and she sits down and starts talking with him. We're all talking for about 3 hours. And afterward, I got really good sex. So I don't know what that is. I don't know the causation and correlation there, but it worked.
Well, so maybe Travis needs to call in.
Yeah, Travis, you need to call more. So I'm laughing.
Yeah, it was a good conversation the other night. It's a shame you missed it.
Yeah, there was other duties were calling me, and so I had business to do.
It's all about priorities.
It is about priority. There was once I was supposed to do radio with Rocky. This is about 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and I was there at the appointed time, and it was his show, and he was running it. We were doing a pre-record, I think, but it's getting close to time, and I'm like, dude, where are you? I sent him a message, dude. I sent him another message, and I'm like, are we doing this right now? I can't remember if it was live or recorded, to be honest, and because I thought if it's recorded, well, you could record anytime later, but I had never. Then finally, he gets back to me a few hours later. Sorry about this morning, dude. He says, the wife said now. And he says, who was I to say no? And I said, really? I said, you couldn't have texted me and go, I'm having sex. I can't do the show. Lack of moral flexibility, says Sarah. You see, right. There it is. Oh, thank you, Travis. She'll appreciate that one. Doing that.
You seen the one where the guy he did a parody of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah?
No,
but it's Haktua.
Haktua. Nice. I have not seen that.
Yeah.
That's a Morgan Snow laughing.
Yeah. There's been some pretty good stuff with that. I love how that brought like the whole world together.
Yes, it did.
Even if for a brief shining moment, it was a unifying moment.
Yep. Do you feel that our country is really all that divided right now, or is that a false front? We're really not. We all want the same thing. We want stuff to work.
Well, and that's the thing is I think the division and a lot of multifaceted answer here, right? Because this one's going to be ogres are like onions. Yeah. Why not parfait? Ooh, layer cake. Everybody loved parfait. Moment kind of thing with that issue. It's very multiple layers going on. I think on the whole, and the fact that we all want normalcy and sanity and stability, and to be able to not have to worry about these things and have fear about them. I think we're all united on that. Neither side knows how to recognize that in the other. Then I think you have people who are very much divided on issues that to them are paramount, but in the grand scheme of overall life and everything like that are not.
Yep.
Because we have bigger fish to fry. And so I think there's a mix. I think most people probably fall in the category of, we just want this to work and we want the nonsense to stop and we don't have to worry about it. And I think people don't understand that they're united on that. They're unaware because of the other superficial divisions, which is,
yes,
that's kind of one of the things I was actually, so yesterday I was hanging out with my neighbor and his wife and their families, during all of the fireworks and everything. And so his wife is Vietnamese. and her whole family had moved here, whatever number of years ago, emigrated here, living in Texas. And her brother goes to school up in Canada, and her brother and I kind of got talking yesterday, and Amber had said some things, to him about like, oh, he had been in the military and he'd been in the recent wars, blah, 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 kind of in passing to him. And so he was asking me some questions about that stuff. And I said, one of the things that I kind of really learned being over there, and especially in Afghanistan, because I was partnered with the Afghan National Police. So I worked with them every day. I broke bread with them every day. Well, that is that at the core, we are more similar than we are different. We want peaceful, stable lives. We want to be able to raise our children, in a good and healthy environment. We want to be able to put food on the table. We want to be able to care for our spouses if we have a spouse. We just want to be able to live life and live life peacefully. And when you start looking at that, you start realizing we are more alike than we are different at the core of it. And that runs a lot deeper. It's the superficial stuff, the surface level stuff that ruins or occludes the visibility of the similarities.
Yes, I agree.
And so that's why I think the country being divided, I think some of it's kind of manufactured and spun up, because I think we all want the same basic things. But again, then it turns into like, England and America, we're two countries separated by a common language.
Right.
And so it's layered.
Yeah.
Because ogres have layers.
Layers. Ogres are like an onion.
Why's it gotta be an onion? Why can't it be a layer cake? Ooh, parfait. Why can't it be parfait? Everybody loves parfait.
Trick. You farted. And my mouth was open and everything. It was in that same scene.
What's that? I saw a meme where it was like, showed the whoever from House Lannister or Tyrion or whatever, and it's all like, I raised a dragon, and then like it shows somebody from another movie or cartoon or whatever. It's like, I slew a dragon, and another one's like, I flew with the dragons, and then it shows Donkey, and he's just like, he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
The implication being they're all talking about something they did with dragons.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Going back to the moral ambiguity stuff, though, or moral flexibility, however you want to put it, it's such a weird animal how we do that. How we allow ourselves to just put the other thing aside, put whatever that, because this aligns with this. This aligns with Octo was global. Song Richmond, North of Richmond Unified US. Yes.
There it is.
Yes, indeed.
JP,
it was global.
When you said, so his wife, my phone thought, I said, hey, Siri. Nice.
Oh, God.
He's off to bed now. Y'all have a good night yourself.
Take her easy, Travis.
See you, Travis.
It's just, he had mutated babies. Yes, he did.
Ooh, Travis or Shrek?
No, Donkey and Dragon.
Donkey and Dragon. Yeah. Oh man.
Because you had like donkeys with dragon tails and wings, and then you had dragons with donkey heads.
I remember that.
But Yeah,
I
it's
was
very
really
funny how we do
disappointed
that. Though.
when the princess turned into an ogre, because I thought she was kind of hot as the princess. Then she became the ogre, and I was like, I'm not going along with the whole beauty is only skin deep thing. I kind of liked the exterior of the other one, but it was a cartoon, and I was a dad, so
Right? Yeah, yeah. You know, if you
yeah.
want to, if you want to talk about real life, though, I mean, if you think about it, given your lines of latitude and longitude, you know, having a more robust partner serves very well during the winter.
It does.
You know, so
Robust. What means you by this thing called robust? She says I'm too hot. Get away from me. You're too hot. I'm like, I'm cold.
I've gotten that before.
Yeah.
Like, good God, you're like a furnace or a reactor over there. I'm like, what? It's not my fault. I can't help it. Turn the thermostat down.
Lie.
This is why people lie.
Nice. Well, you know what's no lie is it's over. We're done for tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
got
at that
things I
point.
gotta go do. And I think Rainey's got my daughter's bed all made up.
Okay.
Or no, Rowan did that. Rowan was so excited about her coming and flying out with her that she cleaned her room. I mean, top to bottom. It's like white glove. And she brought
Wow,
the extra bed in. It's like a trundle bed.
that's
And
impressive.
lifted it from the downstairs all the way up to her room. And just set up a bed and made it with all the new bedspreads and all that stuff.
Yeah, I
It
got to
looks
be doing some of the same
gross.
myself because I fly out to Langley next week for a week-long conference, and then next
Nice.
Saturday my youngest flies out. So I got bunches to do this weekend in terms of cleaning up
I hear
and
you.
getting things in order.
Right on. Sarah, you take care of yourself too and have a good weekend. So, Jason, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, yeah, always a pleasure.
So, well, amongst other things. So, all right, brother.
All right.
You have a good night and good weekend. Hopefully, see you Sunday, unless you're gone at Langley still.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Take care.
See you later. All right, everyone. That's it. We're done. We're out of here. Thank you for being here tonight. And thanks for being part of what goes on here. Everybody think clearly and think critically, please. For God's sake. And that's all I got to say about that. Because I don't want to get into anything else. So live long and prosper. Have a good night. Bye.